Welcome to Cura Conversations, Tales of Hospitality Excellence, where we dive deep into the realms of the people, programs, and culture that make up Cura Hospitality. As June is Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, on this episode of Cura Conversations, Tales of Hospitality Excellence, we will be speaking with Kate Munson, our Corporate Director of Menu Management for Cura Hospitality. Kate Munson is a registered dietitian with 14 years of experience in the nutrition and wellness field. Kate started her career as a registered dietitian serving residents in various life planning communities before being promoted to a food service director. In her current role, Kate works with our culinary team to help plan our menus, develop recipes, and identify ingredient specifications. Kate also spearheaded the updating of our Connections program, which focuses on taking care of those individuals who are suffering from memory loss and dementia. Well, thank you for joining us, Kate. Why don't you start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your background?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Kate Munson. I'm the Corporate Director for Menu Management at Cura Hospitality. I am a registered dietitian and have worked as a food service director for a few years. I've been a clinical dietitian for many years in a building and also have been in regional roles throughout hospitals, behavioral health, and senior living communities.
Awesome. And thank you for joining us today. One of the areas we wanted to focus on was our Connections program that we offer at Cura Hospitality. So can you tell us a little bit about this program?
Sure. Connections is a program that supports our residents within memory care communities, and it aids our team in how to provide a pleasurable dining experience for them. Within the program, we're looking at our dining and menu offerings, ways that we can create and support a calm and inviting space for our residents to come dine with us, and how we can help encourage their meal intakes.
Awesome. So in a program like this, it sounds like there's many different components. Can you tell us about the different aspects of it?
Yeah, there are definitely several different sections, modules within this program that can be implemented at each location, really depending on what the resident needs are, how the community is set up, and certain things like that. So I can walk through a few of the highlights of each of our sections that we offer. So we have a textured technique program, and this section is helping to guide our dining staff on plating techniques to ensure our residents that are on texture modified diets still receive a visually appealing meal. We all eat with our eyes, and that really doesn't change as our dietary needs changes or our dentition changes. So this section can really go hand in hand with our puree creations manual, which goes into a little more detail on how to puree properly. We also have finger and walking foods included. So this can be really beneficial in our memory care areas as residents may not be able to really easily use a fork or a knife as the disease progresses. And providing that finger food option can help increase their independence and their dignity with mealtime. So going beyond just serving a sandwich, as we all know, that's an easy finger food option, but using some sort of puff pastry or a waffle maker, sandwich maker to enclose bites of food and maybe serving it with a dipping sauce. Get your staff involved to get some creative ideas that your team can use to help offer different finger food options can work well as also in the community. Walking foods is very similar, but this can be for those residents that are always on the go. So you can see that some residents can't always sit still for a full meal period, and providing them creative ways to get calories and protein in them using handheld bites. So for example, using an ice cream cone and filling that with pudding, or a pretzel stick with some cheese cubes and meat cubes on there can be really beneficial to help the residents with their overall health and nutritional well-being. We also have aromatherapy options. So many times these residents that live in our memory care units, they're not off the kitchen like they are in some of the other levels of care. So these residents don't get to have the smells, the sound, the excitement of a meal getting prepared, and that can really be important to help stimulate the appetite for our residents. So this aromatherapy section can really help bring out the smells of a good meal being cooked to those residents that may be farther away or in a secure unit off farther away from the kitchen. We also have musical memories. Music can really impact a person's mood. I think we all maybe have that go-to good mood song or a song that makes us feel sad. All those different emotions get pulled out with music. So knowing the right type of music to play and when we can play each type of music can help our residents and support them in a dining environment as well that is calm and pleasurable to be in for their meals. There's also the scarf and tie program. So I think we all know those traditional terry cloth bibs, for lack of a better word. These can be viewed as a very undignified method of protecting our residents' clothes from spills in the dining rooms. So a good alternate to this could be something that resembles more of a dinner napkin, but still provides good coverage for them. The Alzheimer's Research Center has shared a really great pattern that can be used, and we've seen locations partner with different sewing groups that's nearby, or maybe residents in independent living have a sewing group, a local church group volunteers. It's a great way to provide the scarf and ties to your residents, and it can be really fun for them as well, having different seasonal colors and patterns, and then letting the resident choose out which they'd like to wear for that meal. It can be really beneficial and much more dignified to wear. We also have conversation starters, and these are great. They're really used well throughout the communities. They can help create meaningful conversations between our residents and our staff, and even our residents and their family members have used them as well. We've had many people pick up this tool not only during a dining or meal period, but also in shared spaces throughout the community to help foster conversations between residents, staff, family, etc. There's also some information on dementia dining. So many of us know there can be a lot of challenges for our residents and even our staff at mealtime in memory care locations. So here we've shared some different techniques and recommendations to support that calm, distraction-free dining environment for our residents with dementia to succeed. And finally, we have some tabletop recommendations also. So this section, we're talking about how to set up our table for success. So having the most independent and dignity promoting place for our residents, making sure that we're planning correctly. We have the right items on the table for that meal. We don't have extras and we don't have too many distracting items. We've seen a lot of positive impacts with these recommendations to help improve intakes of our residents and help focus at the meal periods.
Wow. Thank you for sharing all that. It seems like you really did cover every aspect of the dining experience. Um, with such a comprehensive program, just going back to my operator days, it looks like it could be a little overwhelming for somebody who wants to implement this. So what kind of support is out there, from the Cura corporate team to help implement this at a site?
Yeah, there's definitely a ton of great information in here. And the program was designed to be fairly self-contained and set up. So the on-site team can get the binder information that has all the different sections and information, and they could get right into training and implementation of the sections that benefit their residents the most. We also have some recorded training PowerPoints that the team can go through. This can really help the team members understand Alzheimer's dementia a little bit better. It provides some great background information and additional learning activities with a session review quiz at the end to make sure they're comprehending that information. Each staff member that completes that training section, they're able to get a certificate of completion that can be posted in the community saying that these are our staff members that have gone through the training for connections and have that better background knowledge and understanding of what our residents are going through in the dining room, and in general, day to day. We additionally have many regional team members who can be there to support the teams remotely or in person to successfully implement connections. Each of the modules that we went through has an implementation guide and some recommendations of who to get involved when, and a little bit of a timeline for how to go about it.
Great. It seems like you provide everything that the on-site team would need to help get this started. So we talked a little bit about, the different components and then how to implement it. But can you tell us a little bit about how providing this better care for these residents, how it helps them?
Sure. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of aspects of the program that can help provide that better care for our residents. Um, the program, again, can help understand the diagnosis better, as mentioned, and those recorded trainings can provide that tools and resources for our team to support the residents. One piece that I would specifically kind of come to mind with our dining environment specifically, since we are a food company, making sure that we're providing that right dining place setting, the calm, dignified environment, and keeping the options for our residents to have the most independent mealtime that they can. So something we haven't touched on yet was a piece of the program where we try to present the menus a little bit differently for our memory care residents. Many times residents, as the disease can progress, they may have trouble speaking or maybe a little slower to process information. We may have gotten a set of dislikes and preferences from family members, if they knew what they usually would eat, and then the team maybe just serves the resident 3 meals a day without asking or kind of speaking with that resident, just making those assumptions of what they want. So one way to foster independence and dignity as much as we can with those residents that may have some challenges is to provide a visual menu. So making sure we have a menu with images of each of the food options. We can also have those written words so that they can see what the item is, and then also having a server speak the meal item verbally as well. So then having those different, the visual, the written, the verbal communication of what our menu is for the day, the resident hopefully has enough understanding and time to process that and make a selection for that meal. And that's great. So the more independence we can give them, choices, we know as residents age and the more care that they need, often the fewer choices they can sometimes make throughout the day. So having a little bit of that patience and understanding to get them to make a choice if they're still interested in that or willing to do that has been a really great benefit.
That's great. In your time working with this program, can you share a memorable moment or experience that you had?
Sure. Yeah, I would say that the conversation starters is almost always a really big hit right away at most of the communities, even with the staff. So kind of brings to mind one of the trainings that we've done, and we put the cards out on seats throughout the room and kind of did an icebreaker. We kicked off the meeting with having them pick up the card and turn to their neighbor and start a conversation off of these conversation starter cards. The room lit up really quick. It was almost kind of hard to get the training back on track. Some people are really passionate about the image that they saw, and they were super excited to talk to somebody about it. So the same can happen with our residents, and we've seen that in many communities. So these conversation starter cards have an image on one side and they have questions on the back. So you have that visual and that written information. As I mentioned, the residents, as we age and progress through the disease, changes happen and memory loss can be there too, but some of those long-term memories are still back there. So having some images that are more in the decade that our residents were growing up can help spark those memories and those conversations. So showing a picture of a beach or water can bring up a fun childhood memory, and they may be able to share that with you and communicate. It's also great to see younger team members as well. So they may not know how to engage with our residents or know what to say to somebody that's that generational time difference. They may not know how to connect with them. So they'd be able to pick up these cards and have a fun, easy conversation with a resident.
Wow. A lot of great information and seems like a lot of success that comes out of this program. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you anything else you wanted to share that I neglected to ask?
Yeah, this program I think has had a lot of great success, not only for our dining team members, which we focus on a lot, but it can really be used throughout the community with nursing, with activity, with rec therapy. All of those team members as well have benefited from different aspects of the program. And I think this program's been really the most successful when the full community is on board and involved in the program for sure. So making sure we have that teamwork and that interdisciplinary support can really help us succeed and will help the residents benefit and thrive the most. Um, Another piece, I think, it can seem a little overwhelming at first. There's a lot of different components to the program, as we talked about earlier, but remembering that you don't have to implement all the pieces to it or even all at once. It's easily customizable for each of the memory care communities. Find the sections and the solutions that are going to benefit your residents the most and start with those, and you can kind of work your way through the program with what makes sense. So it's not an all or nothing. It can really be customizable to that size of the building, the needs, and who you have at the community.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Cura Conversations, Tales of Hospitality Excellence. And a big thank you to Kate Munson, our Corporate Director of Menu Management for Cura Hospitality, for joining us and sharing her thoughts on our Connections program. We hope you found our discussion on today's topic insightful and engaging. And until next time, happy cooking.
Since 1996, Cura has specialized in serving life plan communities, behavioral health, and acute care facilities. Cura creates dining service programs specific to each client's needs, taking the worry of guest safety and satisfaction, employee development, and operational and fiscal challenges off our clients' plates. As our clients' needs evolve, so do we. We are a company of experienced dining service professionals that is part of Elior North America. Together, we are small enough to care and big enough to make a difference. Thank you for listening to Cura Conversations, Tales of Hospitality Excellence, and we hope you will visit us at curahospitality.com to learn more about how we nurture well-being with every meal we serve.